So around 1 or 2 years ago, I made my first ever survival escape game called Rageman's Building of Terror. The gameplay loop was simple. You grab a key inside of there, open the first apartment, get the key from that apartment, use that key to open the second apartment, find the key in the second apartment, use that key to go into the third apartment, find the key in the third apartment, use that key to go in the fourth apartment, Wait a minute. What game am I even playing? Rageman's Building of Terror? Who the f is Rage? First of all, how's the game fun when the only consumable or item in the game are medkits? Literally, I just found a way to the modifiers, which are separate games, not places. When I first made this game, there are only two items, medkits and of course the keys. And then the main entity, this guy called Rageman. Sure, he may not look too bad, according to my 10-year-old self that made this game, but I was just beginner friendly. This guy will chase you forever. He will always chase you. And there are like 20 of them in this building. This is one of the only threats in the game. There are also these poles you could step on, but they look like this. Everything I made by myself was either very badly made or just modified from an item I took from the toolbox. There are 4 floors, 50 apartments, 2 threats, and 1 non-essential item. That's literally it. It's the reason why this game never even got 20 visits in the first month or so, and why the 5 videos I made about these games got a combined total of 597 views. 597 views. Enough for all this. I hate the graphics. I hate everything I made about this game. But I was just creative. But over this period of time, I've gotten way better at scripting, modeling, and making games in general. I even got my first taste of Unreal, but right now we're focusing on Roblox Studio. I wanted to take my revenge on my younger self to prove that I actually improved. Wait, I don't even think I knew how to script 1.5 years ago. So every single script I got came from the toolbox. Before the 14-day timer starts, let's start with the rules of this challenge. I need to recreate my old game in 14 days, this time with more than 1 entity, non-essential item, and a whole new look on graphics. I must also check every single thing in this checklist, no matter what, and if I leave 1 single box unchecked, I lose the challenge. I'm also still bad at scripting, so I need to rely on AI. Unfortunately, I didn't record day 1 since I started around 8 to 9 p.m. Well, but I started to make the prototype of the main hallways of the game, which would definitely be one of the most realistic parts. I decided to be smart once and for all and got materials from the toolbox. Listen, okay, I tried inputting materials once, it was a freaking nightmare. I know I can use textures, but that's not the type of me, okay? I made the floor with these yellowish shots that look so real. I decided, why not just stick with it? Then I textured the walls with asphalt, as I was starting a few apartment complexes, including mines. Most of the textures look like asphalt. Okay, not really, but if you look close enough. I then made the ceiling with the ceiling tiles, added some lights, made the doors, and that was it for the first hallway. After quickly making some other sections and adding apartment numbers from 1 to 21, the day was finished. This checks 3 boxes in the Star/Realism category, but there are still 62 left. I started the day from making my first entity inside the game, residents. What used to be Rageman's, residents are basically the exact same thing. Yeah, I imported this entity from my last game. It attacks you and chases you forever. This time though, I wanted it to be fair. I will later nerf the settings so that they're not as annoying, and also make a spawning system so that they won't be everywhere at first. But this is not day 11, so let's just get that out of the way, huh? After that, for the first time, I would create a model. I'm not good at it and barely had any modeling experience. The whole game literally uses Piggy's door unlocking system and not my own. And the keys too literally come from Piggy. Well, this game has doors that are not my own, okay? Listen, okay? I know I scripted a door before and it didn't not turn out great, but at the same time, I know that I have to use a hinge to make a door to rotate like this, not like that. But how do I use a hinge? Probably because I'm a complete idiot and not know. Step 1, go on Blender. Step 2, with the magical meta ball and a few capsules, voila, I made my first model. Oh yeah, it didn't turn out bad for a game like this according to me. So I think that's good. Step 3. Put the apartment number on the key. This is crucial, as why won't I put one? Finally, I will later make a script where the door can be opened, closed, or locked and unlocked. And only if the key for the apartment is being equipped by the player. Though, simple enough. The idea of this item was completely an accident. And if it were me, this item would not exist if this never happened. After messing around with the blender settings a bit, I managed to make this. It looked like an onion, but I never managed to create it. But I also never meant to create it. This was huge, as it meant that I would cross out the rule of having more than one item into the game. But 2 items ain't enough, right? If you use this item, your hunger stat goes up. Oh wait, I completely forgot about the stat bars. There's health, which is health. There's hunger, which is hunger. And then there is rage. Basically, if you step on these thingies, this bar is meant to go up. And because of that AI chat history of when I first made that stat was gone, I couldn't reverse it. So for now, it will go down. Once it fully goes down, he will die. Yes, he will die. And according to the lore, he'll be cloned into a resident. That's how there's so many residents in the game. Back to the onion. You'll also get a blurred effect and a text message that says you'll feel like you're crying, with also a status sound effect. So far, this is literally one of the only statuses in the game. Sure, there's a rage and peace status, but it affects the environment, not you. This is not an item, but once you click on it, it heals you a small amount, just like doors. Am I copycat? The whole game lets me heal 40 health, and the mesh looks like it came from the toolbox. But in this game, I'm making the model. I don't care it didn't know the colors. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I'll continue on. I attached these parts to it, which makes it look like it has color, and attached a wheel constraint. And now when you pick it up and you use it, you heal. Amazing! This took a headache to model, and the overall design looked like I made it using Play-Doh when I was 5. But hey, it works. I then took the script where depending on where you look, the flashlight will look there so that you can control it more. In the background, I decided to add some actual camera gameplay, like a first person. I also decided to import these stats that I was talking about from my other game, made the floors of some apartments, and added a sprint and stamina stat, which I definitely didn't take from the mimic, okay, please. Wait, why did I use the word definitely? The final thing I decided to do was add the second entity out of 4 that I would make, which is the dealer. He looks like this, but he will look like that. This checks off many things in the checklist, with the first section checked off, and even some checked off in the items, entities, and shop section. But now it's time to move on to day 3. As you would probably guess, the dealer is when you buy items from. I started off day 3 by making the money system, and oh my god, why? I asked the AI to not make the leader stack system, but just why? Just why? I had lost over an hour of time to try to get the money system to work. No matter what, chat message after chat message doesn't work. Now, even if I do ask the AI to make a leaderboard system, or it did work for the last game I made, doesn't work. I felt miserable, glutton, absolutely mad after what just happened. After finally, I decided to take the leader stat system from my old game, which took about 10 minutes. After that, I made the buying system, which is even worse. After I designed the foundation of the shop, the buying system was what was next. Day 3 was clearly a Monday, so I didn't have enough time, but it didn't work the first day obviously. My main strategy was to just ask the AI to make the buying system, which would obviously not work because the chat history was lost, and I made that buying system like 5 months ago. Well, we got nothing checked off yesterday, except buying system. But well, it was already day 4, and oh wow, I had still not completed the buying system. This would take 3 more hours of trying, until finally, it was just finished with a few items in playtest. The onion, a random key, and the medkit. Except sometimes it would work, but sometimes it would not work, which is the problem that I will think of soon. And this is the final result. For now, I decided to make it so that you could abuse the dealer. Basically, how it works is that you would interact with the dealer many times after you had bought an item, or eat food without buying it, which I would implement later. After that, he would get angry and kill you. This took about another hour to implement, but well, it was successful. I did want to go to my friend's house for a while, and it was a lot of fun, and I showed them a little bit of what I was creating. I also added a few things in between. Now this checks out the entire shop section, and that's it. Days 5 started off with me making an outside area. I also added a choke that comes over every 5 seconds, and if you're not careful enough, it will ram the balloony flip flop out of you and you will fall dead. I also added a dialogue that appears when you die, saying that you had saved the world, but nobody wanted to help you, and that this was your fate, which is very unfortunate. Now that that's over, it's time for the excruciating tasks of making all of the apartments walls. For you guys, it's just 15 seconds of me explaining, but for me, it was hours. I was so relieved that I was done until I realized that these things exist. I forgot the names. Was it skirting? Oh yeah, these freaking objects will ruin the hell out of me, and you'll see soon. Also, no offense, who named these things skirting boards? I was so relieved, but I was about to do an hour of class before going ahead and making the third entity of the game, the landlord. Basically, the landlord is the owner of this apartment, and now's the time we can call him Rageman, okay? Call this dude Rageman, not a resident. Initially, he would instigate you, but soon I'll make it so that he will do 65 damage within 5 or 10 seconds. I forgot. And dude, making this thing felt like I was trying to find the right script inside a pile of 100,000 other scripts, or if you're classical, a needle in a haystack. This thing literally broke me. Script after script, it would not work. This took over a week to solve, and the solution wasn't even worth it after all that time. But let's just worry about that later. I made it so that he would be one of the only 2 pathfinders in the game. The other one would be the last enemy I would work on, and I would implement it later. Anyways, in its wandering phase, it'll pathfind its way to dozens of waypoints, and it'll go to a random one and another random one, and so on. If you're in range, your sight basically will detect you and chase you. In fact, making this had so many freaking issues. Like, just look at this. Actually, look at this. But it was later fixed and I was happy. The next day though, day 6 was rough, and I got nothing checked out yesterday. Although I made the entire map, I didn't even implement the chasing phase yet, and I hadn't even started the freaking skirting board thing. Eventually, after over an hour, it finally worked, meaning that we could check off the landlord. After that, I took a quick little break and then went back. I imported the entirety of the landlord's apartment into the actual game, and it was massive. By massive, I mean massive. Then after that, I started these skateboard thingies. Trust me, I hated them so freaking much. Wanna hear these cool soundtracks I made? Well, the first one is heard inside a dealer shop, obviously. And the second one is heard inside the final part of the game, Landlord's Apartment! I made the soundtrack so it's an actual good game. Okay, fine. I'm not a professional music maker, but for a game like this, it's fine. Anyways, I was even halfway there to finishing these skateboard thingies, and after so much training time, I had finally completed the last one. Okay, I lied. There were still a few rooms I completely left behind, and I still have a little more because I thought I had finished. But because I thought I was finished, it was time to duplicate the floors. It was beautiful. I was seeing triple floor apartments now after over 7 days. I also made all the keys but didn't number nor name them, and I moved back to the landlord to give her an appearance. Oh yes, look at that. Classical Rage Man design. So nice. And that's when I found a fatal error. You see, for some reason, after some time, the AI stops moving, and this is not normal. So I try to make a few changes in the script, and still after a few minutes, the AI slows down by a ton. And at one point, it reaches to move. This broke me and made me realize that for 5 days, this issue for the most important entity in the game would not be fixed. This unchecks the landlord box, checks off 2 boxes in the music category, and checks off the entire complexes category, I guess. Day 8 began with a smooth start, of course. Another issue with the dealer. Basically, shopping now doesn't work unless you spawn next to the dealer. The only way to counter this is to spawn next to a dealer, but that seemed dumb, so I didn't go with that option. Unfortunately, why am I saying unfortunately? Because it is the only way. So yeah, once you spawn inside the shop and then instantly get teleported to your spawn point. That is torture right there. Now, because nothing was working, I decided to go back to fixing the landlord. No progress. But then I realized the most time-consuming part about this project: furniture. Unlike my last game where I was super easy to place furniture because of the lack of lag and how simple it was by simply how they looked and how careless I was for putting them in the right place, it would take about 3 to 4 minutes if I would furnish an apartment. But for this game, it would take a hot, miserable 10 or more minutes. I made some bed variants and hopped right back into the final part of the game. It was easy to make the generators because you need to fix 5 generators to unlock this part over here, or at least send it out of existence. Then I tried to fix the landlord even more. And okay guys, here's the answer. It didn't work, okay? It's day 9. How have I not finished this anything yet? Well, introducing a news and in the game, Peacemans. Basically, they wander around the map and are very friendly. You could even talk to them, except it took nearly an hour and a half to make. When I was finally done with these dudes, I was standing proud, knew I'd already done. Oh wait, there's one more. Basically, there's a variation to Peaceman called Lost Peaceman. If you talk to Lost Peaceman, it will show different dialogue saying that when they are caught, he was left behind, and same with another Lost Peaceman inside another apartment. Then I finally decided to create a main menu thing for the game. First, I decided to make the logo, which looks like this. Then I decided to make it so that when you click on the logo, this frame appears. And then this frame, which is basically what the game was created. Then we got the credits button, which is what made the game created, and all the credits, I guess. I also decided to make this camera slowly spinning in the background for the menu. And once you click play, a bunch of dialogue appears saying how you got to this place. Is that you discovered another apartment, went into it, and well, nobody wanted to help you. Well, that sucks. There was also a scene of the apartment and you, and when the dialogue is finished, it reverts back to your camera. Well, that definitely never took 2 hours. After that, I decided to make the LHS of the game. Basically, if you go here and the party is destroyed, you can activate this part, which enables the chase scene. It's not finished, but you get the gist of it, okay? Finally, I made a mop, which is used to clean one rage lava blob and then destroy itself. And fun fact, this is one of the only items that I scripted, and oh wait, oh never mind. I also totally made the design, yeah! For now, in this category, the main menu is checked and the item map is checked, along with the Peaceman and the Lost Peaceman. On day 10, I decided why not the time to make a whole lot of new items. The first item I decided to make was a mysterious spray. Basically how it works is that there is a 60% chance the peace effect applies and a 40% chance the rage effect applies. Okay, here it is. The peace effect gives you a boost and as all resistance are significantly slowed down and the player, I think, gets faster. I don't know. And I mean it. The rage effect though makes all residents faster and the rage lava is teleported to you. So warm. But then there's a peace spray, which when you use is basically the peace effect, and then the rage spray, which when you use is basically the rage effect, but buffed. Try to use it in a safe place. But while you use it, well, once you use it, the rage bands actually slow down, and it can lose up to 2 walk speed if you use all of the available rage sprays. Then with that script, I hopped onto Blender and made this. Oh, don't get too crazy though, as this is Rage Band's least favorite toy. Once he uses, it literally freezes everything for 15 seconds, making this one of the most useful items in the game. It's an item at the shop and it costs $100. But speaking of that, I already added some items to the shop. Brilliant! It's just a mecha that costs 25, peace spray that costs 50, Rage Man's least favorite toy that costs 100, and the one I was talking about apparently, and I don't know the rest because probably because I'm I then decided to create two more food items called the Rage Burger and Bread, and as for right now it looks like this. But later we meshed. But I did have two items that increase your speed, which is the Rage Energy Drink, Rage Crackers, and later a variation of Rage Crackers Premium. Basically, the Rage Energy Drinks bumps up your run speed to 25. I mean 27. I don't know what I'm saying, probably because I'm reading the script wrong and a complete dumbass in a head bonnet. Your walk speed to 17.5 and your crouch. Whoa! You can crouch in this game? Yes, like my last game, you can crouch. But in my last game, you could sprint while your crouch, which is good since you could easily hide from them without having to worry that you're slow. And because I never knew AI coding existed back then, I took the door's crouch from the toolbox and well, got no difference in speed. But in this game, crouch speed is set and won't change because you can't sprint when you're crouched. Speed is 12. When you take the Rage Crackers, your increased speed is much lower, but if you take the Rage Crackers Premium, which is not found in the stores, it's a little bit higher and has a popping noise. I'm going through a firecracker. Decided to put both of these items in the shop. Then it was time for furniture. I decided to make some of the beds, make some of the TVs and our couches, but that's it. For now, the meshes of all the displays aren't done, but this does cover up a huge portion of all the items, completing the items category with a few items unmeshed. Oh boy, day 11 was huge. First of all, I had a day off, meaning that I had over 6 to 7 hours of game developing time. The first thing I decided to do was the most excruciating, daredevil, hardest thing in my life. Furnishing just 21 apartments. Now my whole game furnishing was a complete disaster as I had to furnish over 50 apartments and added a few more details like a shop, restaurants, medical centers, and freaking workshop area that just barely textures and barely helps the player at all. But in this game, 21 was just enough to kill my liver. If you did the math and were paying attention, there were 63 apartments, with apartment 31 being the first Beastman's apartment, apartment 42 being the second, apartment 61 being the apartment with a lot of residents, apartment 62 being another Beastman's apartment, and finally apartment 63 being the landlord's apartment. But the reason why I have to do 21 is because this is day 11. How am I to make 63 different apartments furniture? And the reason why this was so excruciating is because the log on only in the city apartment, the furniture and the game here they had low looks, and how much furniture was on there. I had to make variants of furniture like couch, bed, table, chair, or even bathtub variants. For a working Rage Lava Water or the piece of alright, you don't want enough of this, bro. What am I even doing? I had to make kitchen cabinets, shelf and its variants, tables, its variants, chairs and its variants, desks, laptops, lamps, beds and its variants, couches and its variants, TVs and its variants, along with what's on the screen, carpets, jars, and for some reason bug I want to sort in it. I have to manually use 4 types of jars, toilets, bathtubs, sinks, kitchen stoves, fridges, whatever all this is. There was so much furniture, I was actually starting to go insane. And then finally, after 4 or 5 hours, I was done. The exhaustion caught me red-handed. I was finally finished the most excruciating part of the challenge, even more excruciating than the skating gloves, the landlord. I hated it. I tried fixing the landlord, no update on that either. And one last thing I needed to do, add a custom resident spawning system. It was surprisingly easy. I'm saying that to the stupid AI, by the way, and there's problems all, but this does check off the custom resident spawning system and the entirety of the furnishing system, which is good. It was the day before the playtest. I had many things fixed, so what could possibly go wrong? The landlord wasn't fixed. Yup, despite my friend suggesting me to use Grog to try to make the landlord when it was right there and on its way to fixing the smallest but most noticeable bug, it screwed up. Everything started falling apart. Then it was to the point where it rage petting me. So that day, I used ChatGPT. Once again, its wandering face first try. I couldn't believe it. I once used it to make the landlord earlier and it failed miserably. Then once again, things took a turn when I asked for a chasing phase, and soon enough, I would run out of uses with the rig that was refusing to tell me how this freaking Lua assistant can't fix one issue, but his toy eyes literally goes backwards at the peak of its success. I also spent more than 1 hour asking the AI assistant again to remake the rig. The obviously didn't work, but I'm telling you, maybe I'm a stupid idiot and should learn how to actually script. Enough with this. I took a resident model, slapped some waypoint script lines on there with the help of the assistant, and boom, functional download done. Over 5 to 10 hours of time wasted because the rig that chased you at the end had problems. And I fixed it by just inserting a resident that is guaranteed to chase you. And my guaranteed, it took 2 hours to make my guaranteed wish come true, and then I decided to take a short break, do some class, take and make the keys actually functional, putting them in the designated areas, and also totally not editing over 61 scripts with only changing 2 layers in each of them. The last thing I had decided to do was that day was implement an ending because I had to do it. A new problem arose, camera issues. Now, of course, I had experience with this because I had already got trouble for making security cameras in my old game. In this clip, I just tried to insert a cutscene, but realized that no GUI can load it to cameras elsewhere, which sounds stupid enough, as I wanted the cutscene where I can escape this hellhole and have a windscreen fading, but that's just my idiotic ass, I guess. So, once again, new part, new trigger. Only activate it when you touch the ending chase part and it triggers just a black screen. This game is more quality right now, bro. Checks on nothing except ending, and the entire case actually had to go only 20 minutes to make. And one checks the landlord chase phase and rejects it. Oh yeah, yeah! It was time to playtest. I had made every single item in the game functional. I had made and fixed all the enemies. Now it is time to simply playtest the game. Now, all that was a random items generation. Basically, in the old game, items don't generate randomly, which means you know where all the medkits and keys are if you're actually experienced in this game. In this game, all 12 items, or at least most of them, will randomly spawn around the map. But because I hate my life, items can sometimes be in the same position and not on their own spawns. Because I also hate my life and have 2 days on this project without even playtesting it. Time was running out, but at least I had a half day of school today, so there was still hope. It was surprisingly easy to make the items randomly generated, so all I had to do was just place spawn parts around the map and randomly make the game assign items to those spawn parts. I call this random presets so that the player will randomly get a set of items around the map and just have to find them. Now, food is different. In the kitchen of the map where most of the food will be, it will mainly spawn there. But because there are less food parts, there will overall be a higher chance for them to overlap. But then we got money. Haven't talked about this in a long time, huh? It has over 500 different positions to be allowed to. It has over 500 different positions to be assigned to. And there are 80 of these money parts still means that there's a 1 in 6 to 7 that they will overlap. Okay? You guys? 1 in 6 to 7, you can count that? Okay. I made 2 more soundtracks. One where you're being chased by this freak, and another I can make manually. Both of these are pretty decent. But I'm not a musician, okay? I know how to band class, but still, I also have the invisible wall over here, and if you touch it before you touch this part, which basically destroys the border, messages are gonna pop up saying how you can't escape this. But now that that's over, it's time to playtest. What a good way to playtest, especially at the end. Totally grinding part of the game is at the end, and it's meant to be the second most likely buggy part of the game, with the shop being first. But there was only one grind current to go. It was a smooth start. The music was playing, and I was out with my first generators. Until the landlord bugged out again. It wasn't detecting the player. It took me 3 minutes until it could detect the player. Nice. I don't know why it suddenly worked, but okay, I'll take it. Eventually, I made it to the end and win. But I had to go. While I was supposed to be studying, don't forgive me, but I spent around 20 to 30 minutes adding the help scoping that gives you everything you need to know before playing this game, including the lore of whatever the hell Rain Man is. Well, now I know my answer. I totally never made the lore of Black when I was 9. was the final day, all I had to simply do was to playtest more of the game to see what is actually possible. Of course, I won't playtest the entirety of the game, but because that would take too long. On the first attempt, I reached apartment 2 or 3, and I already realized that I made a mistake about the key controls. You must store them before you play. So I added a keyboard controls list over here at the help section. After that, I realized that I found another bug. I realized that these freaking spray thingies drop on the ground. Are you kidding me? This is miserable. I tried to turn them into a union. But even more miserable, for some reason, these items will never go to their own places. You can pick them up, but they'll be invisible. You might be asking, remove the handle and replace it with the union handle, so it's just one part, and it can teleport. But it doesn't teleport. That's the thing. Roblox Studio is so weird, bro. The same thing for the Rage Energy Drink and the Rage Crackers, meaning that 7 items are not randomly generated. There's now a Rage Burger Bread and Onion Medkit and Rage Man's least favorite toy that are randomly generated. Dude, look at that! After that, I decided to just take a break and make the game icon along with the comments for the game. It was so fun to make, and it was truly an amazing experience. The first image consists of the street view when you're about to enter the apartment. The second image consists of a third floor view with the key to the last apartment in the background and the ladder peeking behind his door. Third image looks like a policeman getting advice from a television. Look at that, it's so cool. The fourth image is like you fell in Rage lava and Rage Man is now going to torture the F word out of you. The fifth image is the shop, and the sixth is a comparison between the old game and a new game. By the way, there's no seventh if you're a thingy. And I made the icon look like this with the player's hands also looking like it's visible. All of these images look really cool and I'm proud of them. Credits to Doors gave me inspiration on how I create these images. After that, it was time for the second playtest. And what other better thing to do than to call on my good friend, Stegan.
Yo!
Oh yeah, he's definitely not indie. It was a lot of fun. And he managed to get a personal best of apartment number 2. Yay! But he did say that there are issues with hunger, like when the food wasn't spawning at all. I mean, it did spawn, but maybe it wasn't spawning for him and he just got unlucky. And then 6 minutes of running the play wasn't enough. Bruh. But it's whatever. I ramped it up to 10 minutes and ensured that food spawning was high. And then I decided to play test the end again. It went smoothly, but then I died again. Oh! But after that, I felt like I played tested the game enough, and it was nearing 9 p.m. the time we were running the project. And with the little time I had, I decided to add some more TV decals, add some Easter eggs, and recreated an entire song that I played in band class just for these 3 Easter eggs for apartments 21, 41, and 61. But that does check off the other Easter eggs and the entirety of playtesting and bug fixing because, well, I think I just did it. And I finally finished the game and watched the time come.